Hello everyone, this is Michael Mirdad here, and it's time for Spiritual Insights. It's Friday Night Spiritual Insights with Michael Mirdad. Today we're going to talk about something that's just so important, and people just, oh my goodness, such a majority of people struggle with it, and it's learning to ask for help. So it's all about asking for help. Now, some of us say, well, no, I kind of ask for help when I need, and that's good. That's a rare, healthy thing. But too many people don't know how to ask for help when they need the help and in what form they need the help. Why? Because most people don't know themselves well enough to know if and when they need help and how much help to be asking for. So, learning to ask for help. That's our main focus today. Now, let's just say, from the get-go that, some of us think that asking for help is almost selfish. And it can be if you're unhealthy and asking for help from an unhealthy, selfish place. But why would you assume that that's you? Why would you assume that you're one of the unhealthy ones? Why would you want that? Because your ego, the human ego, loves to assume the worst about everything and everybody, including ourselves. So when we think, well, I wonder if I should reach out and ask for some help, and you hear this voice, oh no, someone might think this, someone might think that, and that's immediately the overthinker, the self-saboteur, the ego. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be conscientious. I really believe that before you ask for help, just check in for a moment to say to yourself, can I do this from a place of clarity, authenticity, love? So if I say to somebody, I really could use some help, I strained my back and I need some help mowing my lawn. Oh, I feel bad about asking. Then say that. I feel terrible about asking, but I'm going to anyway. I need some help. I strained my back. And I would feel better if I thought I could return the favor in some way. And if someone says, no, let me just help you and let it be. If it were me, I would have to say, okay, wait. I would feel better if I return the favor in some way. Is there something I can do? No, it's okay. Okay, then, before I let it go, I would say, then I'm going to accept it unconditionally. Do we agree on that? And they say yes. Then I'm going to let it go. Because there are moments when you know how it happens where 5 years later somebody says, you owe me, I mowed your lawn that day. Wait, we had an unconditional agreement. I even wrote it down, because I felt funky, a little hesitant about asking, but I asked. And you assured me that it's unconditional. And I would try to keep it to that, try to keep to my agreement with you that this was unconditional. And accept it as such and basically enforce it as such. Now, if what they're asking is lightweight, then I might not say anything at all and just say, oh, I'm happy to do so, and then do it. If they push it and ask again and again and again and again over that one incident, that's somebody that's taking advantage. And I'm sorry that we even have to deal with these things, guys. I'm sorry that we have to, maybe make a record and, but it's all for the sake of clarity, because human beings who are controlled by their ego are just too often looking for ways to damage relations and communication. So you kind of have to do your best to, keep your conversations, communications intact. Keep them clear and recorded, so to speak. And I don't mean literally have a ledger of every conversation. I'm saying, just noted somewhere. And sometimes we say, I'm not going to ask for help. And one of the reasons is because I always get backstabbed. I ask for help and then somebody wants me to help them 5 times over. Well, you could track that and look at what's behind that in terms of a lesson for you. But you don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You don't have to never again ask for help because someone, or maybe more than one, has taken advantage or hurt your feelings in some way. And it's easy to say. I could easily say that to you, but I'm well aware for me too that, when we've asked for certain things from people. Honesty, love, communication, clarity, whatever. Very rarely do human beings know how to keep to those kind of integrities or agreements. But it's still nice to be able to say, well, despite that, I think I'm still going to come out. Take a deep breath and give it a shot, and ask for help when you need help. There's a saying within the world of psychology and counseling, psychotherapy, don't become immobilized. Don't let trauma of any kind make you immobilized, because then basically you're living post-trauma. You're living a state of post-trauma, which isn't obviously great for you or for the people around us. So there's that. And, people will basically, even when they need help, it's like people will not ask for help. And it's interesting to me because it means basically people are in denial. Either they're in denial that they're in pain and need some help in some form, or they're so in denial of their pain. You have to understand, even if you don't know consciously that you're in pain, when you know you need to ask for help and you don't do it, you're actually choosing to remain in pain. Because there must be some form of issue, stress, pain of some kind to make you need or want to ask for help. What about the golden rule? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, but also let them do unto you what you would hope for others. So help people who are in need. But the trick is rescuing and enabling. So when someone says, listen, could you lend me money? But they asked 10 other people. You might be looking at a pattern there that you're almost better off saying no to, so that someone can be planting a seed of, hey man, change this routine of yours. Instead of being person number, whatever, 11 or 51 or 183 that said yes and gave them what they wanted. It gets very tricky because a lot of people, I need this again, I need that again, or children often do that. And, if you give them all the time, they keep asking all the time. If you have such an instance, one of these enabling, rescuing that makes you hesitate being of help or of service to others, then instead of saying no to people that ask for help, because this is not only you asking for help, but people asking for help, instead of just saying no, or saying to yourself, because it's exhausting, it really shames us to say no to people. It really puts a guilt trip on us if we let it. And so instead of doing that, here's an escape, so to speak, a preventative. Just design a contract. Listen, would you be willing to do this for me? Whatever, I'm making up examples. I really need $10, Dad, Mom, $20. God, the timing is great. It is? You're going to give me $20? Yes. God, you have no idea the synchronicity, because I need the windows washed of my house. Look how perfect this is. Now, of course, they're going to be like, I just want what I want. Oh, well, that's not going to happen here. So when you start making contracts like that, which some people are going to say you're putting conditions, you're putting healthy circumstances to things, you're putting healthy agreements to things, you're not putting like ego-based conditions. And if you are, you'll know, because when you do it, you'll be thinking, okay, they want $20 and I want $300 worth of work out of them. That's cheating, people, and that's wrong. But when you make it something that's fair for both, you're both benefiting, you're both gaining. It's absolutely beautiful, guys. And what's most beautiful about it, even though this is going to sound a little harsh, is that most of them are going to say no. Those who want to be enabled, those who want to be rescued, those who want to be, victims, they're not going to give back, because that would be healthy. And they want to stay in unhealthy. But you and I are needing to say, you know what? I have this tendency to say, yes, and that harms me and the others. And then I get a tendency to say, no, that harms me and others. What's the right answer? Say yes with conditions of circumstance, like contracts. It's beautiful. It's actually called mature. But you're also teaching them how to get out of the pit that they're in by saying, all you have to do is get used to, working. I read, something when I was like maybe 17, 18. And it was just some booklet I think I found in the family's library or something. And it had to do with wealth. And there were examples in there of like 16-year-olds. Now today, 16 is yesterday's, 20-year-old and more. So it was stories like of 14-year-olds, industrious 16-year-olds who thought, how can I make some money in my neighborhood? And I'll go pull weeds for a neighbor. But then they do it for several neighbors. And, now they've got $50 for the weekend that their friends didn't have. And then there's another, the stories though was one of them went out and got the lettering stencils and did everybody in the neighborhood's curbs, their addresses. And it was like, well, yeah, how many times have you seen anybody out? Does the city come and do it? I've never, ever, ever seen the city do stenciling of people's addresses. So who does it then? It's like some mystery fairies in the middle of the night. Somebody's got to do it. Nobody thinks of it. So this, 14-year-old goes around and makes hundreds of dollars in a weekend, They're talking about millionaires that did something when they were young and figured out, or at some time in their life when they figured out how to be industrious, how to be, ingenious. So you're teaching people, like, come out, do something. A friend of mine who was, for living on Social Security, disabilities and all this, I taught him how to do foot reflexology. He did it for me at least once a week when I saw him. He did a stupendous job of it. And whatever I had, $20 or 30, whatever I had in those days, I'd give him some money. So he was making some extra money. And it was something that was really easy for him. He'd just sit there. He had the strength and stamina to kind of work the feet. His other disabilities were in his legs, so he could sit there and do it. Next thing I know, I was referring people to him, and he was making some more money. I know a guy who I taught foot reflexology to in the early mid-'80s. This was a big guy. Just a really big guy. And he worked for the city, like the pavers or the county roads or something. And he did the blacktop. So he was rough dude, big guy. And he was probably 55. And when I taught him, I was probably in my mid-20s. But I taught him foot reflexology. He learned it. I think he took a class. Or he saw me do a lecture on it, and then he took a class or something. Anyway, he took it to where I certified him, because I was nationally given, one of the few people given permission nationally to certify people in foot reflexology. So I did that. I certified him. And then, next time I saw him, he said, I love it. He said, I started doing it for a lot of seniors, my wife's friends and my friends, and they love it. He said, I bought a recliner, and he made a whole shtick out of it, like clunk. They sit back, feet come up. He sits down there. He hot towels. He made his own little salon kind of vibe out of it. And then when I saw him maybe a year after that, he said, I'm doing so well, I retired from my city or county work. I retired and I do nothing but foot reflexology, regular, and he gets paid more per hour and stellar. So there's nothing wrong with you and I teaching folks by saying to them, I would love that. And how about you do this? You can slip it in under the radar. You don't have to be like, well, I'm not going to give you something for free. You have to do something back. Don't say it in a way that triggers them. Say it in a way that's like, wow, excitement, brilliant. This is great. I would love to. So that you might kind of change their programming, because their brain is going to be programmed that whenever somebody wants something back, it's because they don't trust you. And that's not the case at all. In fact, I trust you so much that I want to teach you to be a new person. So it's just a thought in that sense. But We have to stop for a moment and say, when I don't reach out and ask for help, what's going on inside of me? Why am I even hesitating? Is there thought, rhyme, reason? Is it psychological blocks? Is this family programming? The Lord only helps those who help themselves. That's a complete statement of separation. Help myself? Like I'm just a little self? We're in this together. How do we help and work cooperatively and collaboratively? That's the ticket. So there's kind of two types of people that don't like asking for help. One, I refuse to ask for help. They're stubborn, man. I don't need anybody's help. Even when they're in pain, I don't need nobody's help. The proverbial, somebody broken leg, and I don't need anybody's help. I'll get to the hospital on my own. Just stubborn. They're just hard people. They're pissed off at something and they refuse to give in. Okay, fine. You can say, fine, then do that. You can also plant a seed by saying, okay, I'll tell you what, I'm hearing that you want to do that on your own. So I'm just going to walk ahead and I'm going to open the door. Fine, you can open the door, because usually they'll let something happen. And that's kind of a beautiful thing because you are planting seeds. It's like you're changing one portion of a neuron for now. And maybe they didn't want to go any further with it, but it's something. Then there's the opposite, the exact opposite. Two types of people that refuse help. Overly stubborn, and then there's those who are the exact opposite. Oh, they're like, I'm too shy to ask, I'm too weak, and they might get upset with me for asking. Just somebody living in total fear. The other's living in total anger, this is living in total fear. And they both end up the same place, not getting help, no matter how much pain. Some people are so stubborn that even if you say to them, do you realize if you don't let me help you that it's going to hurt you even more? I don't care. Fine, then I'll hurt more. Some people go all like clinical on you. They'll just go clinical because that's clinical when somebody's going to be that just intent on being in pain of some kind, physical, psychological, whatever it is. A child scrapes their knee and you go to hold them and they get away from me. Well, people have the right to say no, get away or whatever, but it becomes a pattern. Why would the child not want you to help them and hold? Because they're embarrassed they fell, because they're mad at you because you didn't do something for them when they wanted, and so now that they fell, they're punishing you retroactively, So there's all kinds of trips like that. But what are we going to do about it? If it's you that we're talking about, why not stop? Why not stop perpetuating your pain or your weakness, whichever of those two, the anger or the, fear? Why be so weak or overly strong that you don't want to ask for help? It doesn't make any sense and it's unhealthy behavior. So do you want to keep that? No, I guess I could ask for help. Now, we got to cover a couple things here. When you go to ask for help, there's nothing wrong with you checking in with your conscience to make sure you're not like asking for help selfishly, as I said earlier. Just check in with that. If you know that you don't mean it from a selfish place, maybe you can let yourself let go then. Why hold yourself guilty for something that you're not doing? Because you might be doing it. Check in. And then if you check out, then it's okay. If everything checks out, then go ahead and ask for help. And so many times I have said, why not do that? Why not treat yourself as though you love yourself? Why not treat yourself as though you were someone else you loved? Would you really tell your little 10-year-old child, don't ask for help? Really? Would you tell your 18-year-old girl, if you had a daughter of that age, don't ask for help? And if you did, it's because you're still hurt and angry if you tell children stuff like that. But I hope you don't. It's unhealthy. It's not coming from the right place. And so there are people who do the opposite, and they sort of set the precedent for us who say, I don't want to come across selfish, because there is a third category. There's people that don't ask for help, those who are angry, those who are weak. And then there's those who overly ask for help. Oh my God. The intense ones who don't ask for help, or the intense ones that do ask for help, they act entitled. And then there's weak ones that ask for help. Oh, I'm a victim, So get that people that don't ask for help, there's two types: intense, angry types, weak, scared types. The ones that do ask for help, there's intense ones, you owe it to me. And there's weak ones. I can't do it. Oh, I might break a nail, These are also archetypes in Greek mythology and other mythologies, but I can't do anything, and oh, I'm so helpless, and oh, could you lift that for me? I might break a nail. I might strain an eyelash. It's just ridiculous at how weak some people can be. And those people on that side of the spectrum often feed how we end up on the other side. The people that won't ask for help. Because first, we are disgusted by these people who ask so much or in such an unhealthy way, we don't want to be associated with that behavior. And we sometimes have been screwed under by that kind of behavior, so we don't want to be like that. So then don't. Don't let them ruin it for everybody else. Just don't do it the way they've done it. And instead, come out and say, and here's what I think. I think it's beautiful if you get, how then do you finally ask for help? Well, there's two people you ask for help: God and others. Okay? When you ask for God, you ask for help through prayer and meditation. Prayer, right? Just ask. When you ask others, you should be very similarly to when you ask God. When you're asking others, be clear as you would in prayer. Be honest as you would in prayer. Communicate clearly and honestly, but communicate. So if I were talking to God or a person and I felt a little apprehension, I'm needing some help with a particular issue in my life, but I'm feeling some apprehension. What do I do with it? Don't let the apprehension eat you alive. Instead, just say it like you would in prayer to another person. You could say, listen, I want to ask you something. First, do you have a minute? Make sure the setting's right? Do you have a minute? Okay. You have a minute? Okay. Do you mind if I ask you something? Okay. I want to tell you first off, there's something I was looking for, so that they understand it's not like you're asking something really, really weird, but you're just saying, let me just set the stage that there's something I'm looking for, and I have been so apprehensive. Even now I can feel a little shaking inside about asking. See, what I'm doing is I'm communicating to you that I'm nervous so that you can be a little more understanding and compassionate. Now, some people will still react negatively in life, even when we're openly and honestly communicating, but at least you've done what you can to really set the stage. Because if they're anywhere near being humane, as soon as they hear you say, I'm kind of, nervous about asking, they should be going, oh, no, go ahead. Like there's this thing that happens in most humans where when they told us they're scared, we shift to listening a little bit better. If we don't tell them and it comes through in our voice and we're nervous and we're sort of, and we mix up our words and we nervously ask something, that we blow it. It comes across way messed up. I can remember one incident in my life where that happened, and it was like, oh my God, I just realized I blew it. A woman asked me to ask her mother something, and so I did, but I wasn't sure at all of the wording. I was a kid, and I wasn't sure at all of the wording, and it just kind of, spewed out, and the mother was like, what? Like, it was just not the right wording at all. And it all happened that way only because I was nervous. It was a righteous thing to ask, normal thing but I was nervous, so it just didn't come out right. So, think it through. Make sure you comfort yourself, ease yourself so you don't have that tension that you're going to trip over, and then just ask. And remember now, whether you're asking God or people, here's another pair of rules. Go ahead and ask, but you have to stay open to the outcome. They're either going to say yes or they're going to say no. Whether it's God, the universe, people, whatever, your partner, it's going to be yes or it's going to be no. And there could be variations. Yes, as long as this, or no, as long as that. But it's going to be yes or no generally. And if they say yes, wow, isn't that cool? If they say no, be prepared to handle it well and not shame them for saying no, not hurt their feelings, not shame them in any way. Just, oh, okay, well, I understand. Well, thank you. That's it. Try to add a little, oh, I understand, no problem. And let it be easy. If a cop pulls you over for a ticket and you say, well, but officer, can I just tell you, this is what was happening. The cop has a right to say, thank you for sharing. And I really hear what you're saying and I believe you. But I'm still going to write you a ticket. Your job is to go, okay, well, I understand. Thanks for at least listening to me. That's right. That's right communication. You're honest, you're clear, and no attachment to outcome, which is called an expectation. Just do your best to go with it. So I can't tell you, hey, everybody, ask for what you want and get it from the universe. That's just tyranny. Some of these people that tell you that. Ask for what you want and get it. Make it happen. No. Ask and be open. Ask and be open. Ask and be open. If you get it, give thanks. If you don't, give thanks because you at least had the courage to ask. That alone might have been what you needed to get today, was the heightened courage to even ask. Somebody, could ask you on a date and, be told no. They're nervous to ask and then they get told no. You might be the person that asks. I remember one time, after marriage and all that, I kind of didn't know really what I wanted to do and how I was going to approach the idea of it, if I'm ever going to date or anything like that. But to me, the whole thing became kind of just funny, and it was a little bit like a thought I wanted to pursue, but it was also something that became almost like a self-observing. I was just watching myself going through the process and being silly with some of it and keeping it a little light. And I remember, I went somewhere, which I've shared before. This is the only place I had really ever gone. Across the street from my office, there was a nightclub, and I could go and dance, a little bit and, try it out anyway. And so I tried that several times, but it just got to the point where it was so silly. The whole experience seemed or felt so silly. I remember there were these two girls, and they were smiling at me and looking at me, and and I thought, oh, this is kind of nice. It was, new to me, because I had only been married since high school. So, it's like, this is, interesting. And kind of not knowing what to do, I just thought, well, I'm just going to do something silly because I'm not attached to the outcome. So I sent a message with the waitress, server, whatever they would call it in a nightclub. The waitress, so I sent a message over. I sent a message over to their table, and it was so cool. I saw them just bust out laughing, and my message said, here I was 30, about 30, and I sent them the message, and it said, would you take pity on an old Vietnam vet, and dance with me? And they both just cracked up, and it broke the ice, and yet it was almost more like making a friend than like some sort of hookup or something that people typically often do. And what's really funny is, like, a year or so later, I was sitting somewhere having something to eat, and the waitress, a waitress brought over a card, and it said, would you take pity on an old Vietnam vet? I didn't even look the age to be a Vietnam vet, but when I said that, but here one of them happened to be in the restaurant and noticed me, recognized me, and sent me the note back. It was just hilarious. So you got to ask. What the heck? Make a little light of it. Be okay with it. The more a person says, will you date me? And if you don't, I'm going to be devastated. I'm going to hate you, I'm going to hate myself. I mean, that's just, which is the way they behave. I'm not saying they literally say that, but it's the way people behave. It's just like, just just terrible, guilt and garbage that we do. You've got to ask. Ask Spirit for something, and if it's meant to be, you'll get it, and if not, it won't come right now. So let it be okay. It must not have been in the highest good. Well, I guess God just didn't want me to be happy today. No. God wants your happiness. If that thing would have somehow added to your happiness, God would have found a way to get it to you. Honestly, we just don't believe that anymore. We actually think there's good and bad days for God, and God's kind of pissed at me today, so I probably won't be getting that. This isn't your dad or mom or your partner or ex-partner. This is the presence of love that you're calling upon. And you also are the presence of love, deserving to ask. You don't remember all of what's good for you, so you don't know exactly what to ask anymore. We forgot. So you just do your best to relearn the appropriate things to ask. Oh, can you find me a person to love? Well, wait, no. Actually, I'm needing to fast a little more from relationships, so I probably shouldn't be asking for a partner right now, a date right now. And that's the greater consideration that God would have, let's say, or the Holy Spirit would have. I want to be cured from an illness. And I don't want to die. Well, sometimes you get cured and sometimes you don't. Well, I guess, God ran out of good mood, medicine today to send me to be cured. No, God might have said, you know what? I have other work for you, actually. And it's for the greater good of all humanity that you come to the other side. Even if you could have a family of nutcases, and God could say, I need you on the other side, because they're not listening to you when you're awake. They won't listen to your phone calls. They won't listen to your emails or texts. So I need you to pass over, because I really need to get something through to these people. And they'll listen to you in the dream state if you're in the astral plane, and I can use you from this side. And in the meantime, you can rest from all the other work you've done. You just don't know. But ask. Ask, ask, ask. A Course in Miracles tells us that prayer, which is a form of asking, of communing with God and asking for whatever you're feeling in the moment, is the greatest gift God gave us. Prayer, the ability to ask, and then secondly, of course, free will. Those two things, and free will is when you're technically, prayer is a form of asserting your free will, to ask for a change of some kind. So they're two sides of the same coin. But you've been given the power to ask. Why not ask? Just get used to proper asking. Don't ask out of entitlement. Don't ask out of wah. I need everybody to do everything for me. Be honest about it. There are times when I think, God, I haven't had massage or body work in years. And it's happened like that for me. But instead of just not having it, there's times when I just said, you know what? There's times a couple times where somebody has offered, and I, after a little, have to, kind of see the situation, check in to see if it feels right. And a couple times I, said yes, and it was fine. A couple times I've said, no, and that was the best decision too. Lots of times I've said no. But a couple times I've said yes and it worked out. And a couple times I've said yes and it didn't really feel right at the end. But I'm glad I also said no. A lot of times it wasn't just right. But I still, instead of just having that happen, sometimes I just said, you know what? I'm going to go and just create the right person, and voila. It's an amazing thing to be able to have ourselves taken care of. If your neck is kind of kinked, I should go to the chiropractor. Oh, no. It'll just go away. Well, why are you going to wait till it goes away, which could take weeks or months, and maybe it won't at all? Why are you even thinking that you're going to wait? It kind of doesn't make sense. If you win the lottery and you go, God, I won the lottery, I'm going to go cash my check today. No. Wait, I should probably wait weeks or months. Is that really what you would do? You wouldn't do it with the lottery. Why would you do that with your neck? Get help. Get help. There's an elderly lady who lives next to me, man, and she's always out there pumping away, man, like sweeping this and blowing off that and raking. She'd weeding. One time she had a pile of gravel delivered, and I thought, this time she's got to get somebody right. She was out there, wheelbarrow, a few shovels at a time, wheel it over. I mean, man, just impressive in that sense. But one time I did catch her and say, look, I have guys coming over to do landscape, today. Do you mind if I have them do you want them to do some of the trees you're out there clipping? Oh, no, that's okay. No, let me just have them do it. Really? And she said the words, I've never had anyone do anything for me before. And I just thought, this woman's got to be like, whatever, 80, 90, I don't know, and never had anybody do anything for him. It's preposterous. Why should any human being have that affirmation, that statement? It just doesn't. It's not necessary. Okay? So accept help. We're going to close in a moment, but reminding first, ask for help when and where you can. First, remember, ask God. But let God channel the right people to bring you what you're looking for. It's almost like, think of it as spiritual networking. What are you looking for? What is it, do you have value? Do you deserve? How would you treat a child who's asking for something? Let's just try it out. Mommy, can I get new tennis shoes? Even if you don't have a lot of money, what you can say is, yes. I teach this a lot over the years. Say yes. Then, how can we do that? Start with yes. If it can't be done, then we'll retire it. And we'll say, okay, we said yes, we tried it. Apparently it's not working, can't be done for now. Done, that's fine. Be proud that you tried, that you even asked. So that's healthy value. Who am I? A holy child of God. Therefore, God is like a king, and I'm like a prince or princess in this world, and God has given me a charge card, the master card, and said, you can have anything you want. Just be sure to give me what I want, which is your soul, your love, your ability to forgive your brothers and sisters for the things they've done on this planet. That's all I'm asking. God says, that's all the payment. I don't want to see money sent to me. I want a payment just to know that every so often I'm seeing a payment come in of love and forgiveness. That's all I ask, God says. In the meantime, here's a card. Have at it. What do you mean? You buy a card. Buy a car. Buy a whatever. It doesn't mean literally purchase. It means put it out there and make that happen. It's okay. Open your mind to receive. So put it out there. I'm looking for a car, funds to get a house. Well, I don't have any funds. Funds for a condo. I don't have any funds for an apartment. Whatever. Start somewhere and just recognize your value. And remember, when I said that I practice and teach others to say yes, that's what God does. Yes, let's do everything we can to make that happen. And if it's not going to happen, let's let it go. Okay, if God's going to do it that way, I'm going to do it that way. So when somebody says, Michael, is there, any chance that, like when they asked me to move to Sedona to teach here at Unity of Sedona, I first said no, because it was seemingly impossible. I had a schedule filled for a year of touring. I had a house I owned, a retreat. It was, for all intents and purposes, impossible. There were blocks on every topic. And every category to make this happen, there was a block. But I just said, well, wait. Okay, I take it back. I'll say, yes, let's see if it can happen. Click, 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 click. Everything just clicked into place. And I'm here. 10 years, just about 10 years now. So think about that. Try it. Just try it. Oh, I wish I could date. Where. Put it out there. What are you doing to... Well, I'm looking for Mr. Perfect. That's why you're not dating. Mr. and Mrs. Perfect. That's way too weird. Mr. and Mrs. Perfect? Date. Well, I don't know where he or she is. What do you mean he or she? Go out with friends. Well, I don't know guys I can trust. They all want something. Go out with a gay guy. Hey, would you go out with me? Gay guy, gay friend? Sure, hey. Off you go. And you can go, that doesn't count. It does. It does. Because you're moving in the direction that you say you want to achieve. Ask. You just have to put it out there. I remember putting it out there and asking, is there parents, is there any way to get money to buy a house, when I was a kid? And of course, they laughed at me or, whatever, jabbed at me, and there was no way, but I asked. And I ended up getting a house years later in that same place, Sedona, that I thought about moving to in the early 1980s. And, it took me till the early 2010, era. But I ended up getting one here. I mean, I've had a house in between there and here, but I'm just saying what I thought was a time for a house here and parents helped zillions of years ago, it still ended up happening, just not in that time. Not at that time. So ask, what is it you're looking for? Watch a video of mine that I did on starting a new life. Watch videos I've done on what I call assembling a new life. Because instead of waiting for it to arrive, red carpet and all that, sometimes you just assemble it, like my garage, just a garage, has a portion of it that's carpeted. Now, who wants carpet in their garage? But it's padded carpet, and I realized today I walked out there and saw it, and I thought, I'm so grateful. I had that padded carpet for probably the last 3 houses in my life. The last 3 houses. It was a remnant or something, I don't know, it's maybe 20 feet by 30 feet, but it was still like a remnant, even though remnants are usually small. It was, from somewhere, and I used it to fill one garage completely in one place, and then I moved and I thought, well, I don't want to throw it away. It's good carpet and padded, so there's a purpose for it, not outside, but inside. So I'm going to, a corner of my garage, and I could, kind of use that for a comfortable area if I need to store some things, or, almost like it's its own little space in the garage. So do things like that. Ask for what you want, and you don't know, it'll take the form of a carpet remnant instead of a full carpeted house or whatever. It might take the form of a leased car instead of a purchased car. It might take the form of somebody lending you a car. But ask. Just not entitled, not weak. But don't not ask because you're angry or afraid. The center between not asking for those 2 reasons, asking for the wrong 2 reasons, is the center. I'm just going to put it out there because God says, I love you and you're deserving of all good things. So maybe I'll just put it out there. Maybe I'll just try it. And if it doesn't happen, oh yeah, I forgot. I got to remember, Michael said, don't get attached to the outcome. Don't let it not happening make you into some like, oh, I knew it wouldn't happen and I'm not allowed to ask. Don't buy that. And you can have past lives. God had nuns and priests that were vows of not allowing to have or ask, and get over that too. That's not God's will. You might have thought it was at the time. Maybe it felt like it was right at the time. Fine, but you're not there anymore. Now you're allowed to have whatever it happens to be, even if it seems like comforts in life. Reach out for certain types of support that seem healthy, certain types of people that seem healthy. Reach out for experts, massage, support systems, healthier friends, healthier Facebook groups, healthier 12-step group. Well, I went to a 12-step group and there were some people that weren't very nice there. Go to a different one. Just create with God all the good that you deserve, not from an entitled place. See, there's entitled I deserve. Entitled I deserve means I can do anything I want and be a jerk and I still deserve it. It's mine. No. See, really, really deserving is we all deserve. Not I, me, mine. Yeah, I deserve and we all deserve. And if I get this and I see somebody else that could use some of that, I think I'm gonna offer that. I'll give a portion or whatever it happens to be. I'm having this inspiration that's been coming to me, and like I said, I'm going to close now, but there's been an inspiration coming to me, kind of like I've been participating. I volunteer at one of our friend at Unity of Sedona. She does estate sales, and I volunteer there. And it's really cool, but one of the things is to see people finding treasures that they've been looking for. And I've noticed that lately, even more so than usual. And I just thought, I want to create like a national vehicle for that. On a national level, just saying to people, whatever you're looking for, not like eBay, which, has things people need and they buy it, but almost partly free exchange. So it's just very loosely in my mind. It's not all tightened up. And I don't know that I'll do it, because sometimes we receive inspirations that are symbolic or metaphor rather than literally meant to be. This is the thing I'll close with, and that's, here I am telling you folks, ask, ask, ask. And the folks in my life, my team, get on my case because I so often don't remember to ask for donations and support, for our programs. Now, I do have a seemingly justifiable reason, and that is because it so often happens that spiritual teachers milk everybody and churches milk it does happen. It does happen, and I'm sorry that happens, but it does happen in this world. And I kind of hesitate. I don't want to be kind of seen as one of those or that situation. I don't want to be included in that, because I want folks to really know, if I were a billionaire, we wouldn't ask for any donations, and I would still be doing these programs. That's how you know the integrity is there for somebody, for yourself or somebody else. But I am trying to ask more consistently and say, hey, folks, by the way, if you can't afford, don't worry about it. It's free. If you can afford, great, thank you. And you can send donations for this program or any of the things I do. You can send donations or my ministry to the Foundation for Christ Consciousness. And you can make donations there. So you can donate. You can also become a sponsor, and just like a normal monthly withdrawal, on a card. And then you're a sponsor, you're an ongoing sponsor. Hey, whatever you want to do is great. One time, monthly, or you can't at all, no problem. But this week, one person sent in some foreign currency. It was so cute and beautiful of them, because they said it's worth hundreds. It might be worth $5, it might be worth 500, I don't know. But the idea that they sent it, and in my mind I'm thinking, that's what started a big portion of this. I would love to see more of that giving. So I'm saying, if you have, whether you donate it to me, whether you donate it for me to give to the estates, and then they sell and give it to Unity of Sedona. If you have treasures, guys, I'm saying to you, if you have treasures, I don't care if it's jewelry or collectibles or antique things or cool things or just rare things that people might want. It could be an old book that somebody would value. The biggest fan of Edgar Allan Poe, and you have a first edition Edgar, and you want to pass it on. I would love to create this kind of a network where we can pass things around. Just be clear of what you want me to do with it. You want me to, don't give me personal things for me. I typically don't keep things. No offense. Not because I'm not wanting to ask. If I want something, I ask, which is why I'm saying if you guys want to send these various kinds of donations, monies or objects or jewelry or whatever, great, class rings, great. That's what I'm asking for. So if you'd like to, send it. But send me personal things for me. I don't really, if there's anything I would want, I've asked and I received it. So there's nothing I can think of right now other than this, that I think, I could use one more of those. I like the things I have, and if somebody likes them more, I'll pass them on. And if I wanted more, I would ask, and if not, I won't. So I feel pretty content. So I'm not asking to get something for myself, but I am saying, it would be great. It's another way you guys can share, but also you can help me maybe create some sort of this sort of a network of some kind. So know that if you send something to me, I'm still going to look for the greater good and possibly pass it on. Unless it's something you tell me, like if it's finances, of course, then we keep it and we pay the team and all that from this. And our finale is Edenshire. It's a retreat I hope to get someday. It's going to take millions. It would take probably just six people who have a $500,000 in their home, equity in their home, could pull it together and make a few million for 1,000 acres somewhere. But that's just a simple example of that. If you feel called, let us know. If not, that's fine too. I do my best to give freely, so receive freely. Please remember to ask. You're worth it. God wants you to ask. God wants you to feel good in your life and have a happy dream even while on earth until the day we all return home. All right? God bless and thanks for your time. Bye-bye.